and welcome to another exciting episode of the Youth Cafe podcast. I'm your host, Faith Nyanjui. I'm joined by Esther Mayende, who is an advocacy officer, also joined by Moses Omari, who is a research manager, and Mercy Maina, who is a peace and conflict expert. Our topic today is very interesting because it touches everyone, and the topic is young people and tough economic times. Moses, let me start with you. How do you feel about the current economic situation in Kenya?
Well, thank you very much, Faith. The state of our economy among the young people, it affects young people in different ways. When we look at the situation whereby young people, they escape our own country, they go abroad to look for jobs. You walk in the streets and the cases of mental health among young people is rising. You look at some of the social crimes that are on the rise in the recent past.
First of all, young people don't have jobs, and then the taxes have been increased. So what do you expect them to do? What do you expect them to do? So they end up having mental health issues. They end up, engaging themselves in drug and substance abuse. And most of you have seen even on social media, most young people are collapsing. I saw a video like in the past 2 months of a young person who fell off a bridge in Nyali, and because of the high cost of living. So I can say right now, currently in Kenya, things are really tough for the young people, and I hope we can find a really lasting solution to these challenges.
The Kenyan economy is really ailing at the moment, because even when we look at the shilling against the dollar, it has really gone down, and it's currently at a shilling against 144. A dollar against 144 Kenyan shillings. And really, this has caused major problems amongst our youth. Also, if you've driven along Westlands and even in the streets of Nairobi, we see the number of young people who are sleeping outside because they don't have employment, there's no cash flow, they can't even accommodate themselves. The cost of living has really risen that they can't even afford a meal or housing. I would say that, for example, Esther had mentioned about drug and substance abuse. We also have crime increasing, and there are instances where the government invests on making the security tight, whereas we would maybe have the economy first, like have the young people become economically stable so that they refrain from this crime and other things. And even interestingly, like I was talking to some of my friends who are not married, and they were telling me, mimi size yes you are na economy napea mtoto nini, which is true. Actually, kama the price of unga, I think the cheapest is at 200 and something. So imagine you bring more members to your family, they won't eat love, or they will need food.
So just to add on that, Faith, previously people who like the Mjengo guys, that's what a lot of young people are currently doing. Tomkono could get at least, let's say, 500 shillings per day, and back then we used to get unga at 90 bob, and oil was as cheap as, the half a liter was around 65 bob. The cost of the bread was 40 bob, 50 bob, and milk was also 40, 50 bob. And that could sustain that young man and maybe get something else to pay rent for. But look at the situation right now. That 500 bob, you cannot buy that milk. Just calculate the price of milk, bread, and flour right now, which are the basic commodities of that we survive on in Kenya. That 500 cannot accommodate that. So while the cost of living has gone high, the salary scale has remained the same, and the price commodities, of course, are high. So the amount that you could get in the previous year, right now you can't do with it anything. And including now the cost of course, the rise of taxes in fuel. I was speaking to a friend. He previously used to use like 200 bob for transport every day. Right now it's about 350, and his salary is still the same. the landlord has increased the rent. What do you expect this young person to do? You know? And you know, the society expects you to have a family, take the kids to school. The school fees is already high, as we all know. The books are high. So how do you expect this young person to sustain himself and sustain the family?
It's
Yeah. And that is why over the recent years we have seen cases of whereby our young people who should stay here and help in building our countries are opting to actually go abroad to look for other job opportunities where they are well paid, either legally or illegally, and this has ended in tough treatments from wherever they go to, and some of them even lose their lives. So you find that such kind of things are demoralizing our young people. You find that someone is learned but there are no jobs, so some of them drop out of schools, and they have increased teenage pregnancies whereby we have single mothers, and so such kind of things also adds on into this problem. So it becomes a continuation, like a cycle of occurrences.
That reminds me of one thing. There is this culture we currently have of I'll do anything as long as I have money. Like, I'll do anything as long as nifanye nini niomoke. Because the legal means of getting income have become so scarce. And the young people have become so frustrated. You ask anyone online about any illegal ways of getting money, you will get responses. And I would say this is fueled by the lack of employment and the high cost of living. So the sooner we solve this issue, the better. Otherwise, if we leave it to go this way, I don't know.
It will be, but actually, I've remembered recently there was something that was trending about pesa nitadili na DCI baadaye instead of dying with poverty, which many people are opting actually. So he inaleta crimes and everything, like it affects the community socially. Also, as Moses was speaking, something came to my mind. We are losing brains to go work in other countries. When we were in campus, there was something called brain drain. Yeah,
and it still happens.
Yeah, it still happens. So if we want to nurture our very vibrant and innovative youth, please let's work on the economy. And because we are not just here to vent, like things were easier during the Kibaki times. We can't ignore the fact that there are global issues that are contributing to the economy. But I believe there is something that we can do. We can borrow notes from Kibaki's era. So I think that we can do that, and things will be better. Yeah. Now talking of the solution, does anyone else have something still on this?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I still have something to say. As we can see, our government is really trying to involve the young person, but when we look at the informal sector, is it really a sustainable way to engage our youths to provide employment? It's not really sustainable because we're not saying kazi si kazi, as the government is currently saying kazi ni kazi, na tujakata. But really, if that young person goes for mjengo, that project will end after 3 months. What's next? And that is what is making our young people to have mental issues. We see the crime rate is really increasing. Like recently, around the place I live in, there was a mob justice. And really, when we just look at it as an internal issue, but what image does this portray to the global, to the wider community about our country? Because mob justice in the 21st century
It's
not supposed to be happening. Yeah.
So I have a question. What I've currently seen, I know the government says they have robust plans, to revive the economy, and the Kenya Kwanza in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, it was the hustler nation and lowering the cost of living and all that. But personally, what I've seen is rise in the taxation. So my question is, how is high taxes solving the issue of high cost of living? That is the question I'm not really able to answer at this time. How is high taxation solving the cost of living currently?
And the debt. Well, there has been issues about that they are having a housing program, but haijaanza. But actually, you can support me that watu wameshaanza kukatwa pesa. Please, if you have already started kukata watu pesa, please have the strategies to create employment in place as we speak, so that it even creates hope for the young people. Also, as Masi was speaking about the unsustainable short-term jobs that are built there. Okay, we appreciate, but please develop a long-term plan to absorb these people into the job market. Like something really upsets me. You see a politician, they have bought like a lorry of unga because they have the capacity to. Then they come with cabbage, they call people, they start distributing. How sustainable is that? That is mockery to me, and I find it so offending and offensive, sorry. Please, that money, do something sustainable, or rather save it and just keep it. Like I've seen so many politicians do that, and I really hate it. That's my personal opinion. Do something sustainable. Usituletee unga na they look for the cheapest brand actually. Yeah, it's true. Wanaleta kama ile si sahi kuna za 250 the raha kavagara. They look for ile inaitwa okay, sorry, I won't mention brands here, but kuna ile kionjo nasikia so they look for that one and they bring cabbage tule tunatoshana tu hivi. Sasa wamama wanashangilia, and we have to get out of that slavery, because I call it mind slavery. Because kama utatekwa na unga na cabbage, really, especially for the young people, because wazazi hata tusiwajali sana, but you as a young person,
actually it must end in our generation.
True.
Yes, so young people should wake up. They should not wait to be used by the politicians. We should be going for those political posts ourselves, so that we can effect these changes that we desire to see.
Talking of political posts, is it really favorable for the young person? Because we see a lot of people want this political position, but are the older generation allowing young people into these spaces? From experience, I ran for office in my home constituency, Kegumo. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. And it's because of these things we are talking here. Like, you find the young people, they are your biggest enemies. They are the people fighting you. Like, you go, you have gathered a crowd. You want to speak to them. Then a politician comes with 50 bob and cabbage. And you see all the young people have gone to listen to them. And they are really... Please, this should stop. And the environment is not favorable, but I want to encourage the young people, please step up and take the leadership position. If in any way, any simple way that you can advocate for change, do it. Like right now we are in a podcast. I know we'll get listening. Please, if you're listening to this and you're a young person who was doing those things we are saying, please change in the name of Jesus.
So apart from that, I'll come back to that one for young people and joining political. I wanted to add on something. I've heard people say, start small businesses, be self-sustainable and all that. But with the tax increase, and even for the small business, I think we used to pay like the small businesses used to pay like 1% tax. There has been an increase to around 3%. And you very well know when the general cost of living is high, it affects the businesses. The price of fuel is high, it affects the business. So even the young people who majority are doing small-scale businesses have been affected adversely by the current taxes and the high cost of living. So as you provide as you put these laws in place, that how they affect the young people. I know there are several funds that have been given to the young people. I know there are several funds that the government used to give to young people to start businesses and all that. But then one thing I've realized that even getting those funds, before you get those funds, the bureaucracies that are in between before you get those funds, most of the young people actually give up on the way. Yeah. You go, you need signatory, you are told go to this person, and at the end of it all, you never get to utilize those funds. But when the reports are being submitted, you will find that how many billions of shillings were given to young people, to groups of young people to do this and this. So corruption has also eroded the little funds that we should be utilizing to grow our economy.
Yeah, and I think that it's just not only enough for the government to provide maybe farming or financing or loans for young people to start businesses. But it's also important for the government to create a good environment where early businesses, I can call them young businesses, can thrive. Because as I started earlier, I started mentioning that they are already well-established enterprises. So young people are facing that challenge of competing with them. So I think this issue of taxation, youth-led enterprises should not be taxed.
Yeah, I hope the policymakers who are listening to us, with all due respect, please take note of the things that we are suggesting here.
And the government also, just to couple on this.
Yeah.
The government should look at some of the sectors that they should finance youth on. Sectors like agriculture are very vital.
Yes.
So the government should not just offer financing in other sectors that does not ignite the economy instantly. But things like agriculture, those are sectors that are very, very sustainable.
Yeah, and speaking of government and holding our leaders accountable, we recently had an event on the International Day of Democracy. And most people were defining democracy, they were relating it to elections. But really, democracy is even after elections, because you need to constantly hold your governments accountable. And this is most especially to the youth. Like, attend those events and gain a lot of knowledge. Like, there was a speaker from, was it from the Office of Ombudsman?
Yes.
If I got that right. Yeah, that guy or man was telling us that you can actually go and report any cases of injustices and corruption. That is one step in holding the government accountable. And another thing, use social media effectively.
Yes.
Use it well and rise against instances of corruption and injustices. That is how you hold your government accountable. Not just venting to your friend. What will your friend do? Nothing. Okay, they may vent with you and give you a shoulder to lean on, but they are not affecting the policy changes. So please take note of how best to hold your government accountable, because it all starts with the leadership that we have. Yeah. Any other further comments on the solutions?
I also feel upon our young people, there's a lot of burden coming back from home, especially people who come from rural areas to urban areas. There's a lot of hope in these young people back at home. Because ukiangalia people from these areas, ukikuja Nairobi unapata tegemeo ya familia. You school your siblings, you provide for your parents. So, yeah, this is a lot of burden on this young person. And I'd like to urge our parents and our relatives, please, take consideration of these young people. If you get to you just want 10,000 and you don't know what happens this person are going because it's a lot of toil on these young people.
Yeah, because somebody has a salary of 15,000. Tunasema tu anapata 15k, then unaona amepigiwa simu pamani tutumie food, sahi food and then ukituma pesa kidogo they are complaining. Please, now this is to our parents.
Yes. That is called tax.
And also want to appeal to our parents and relatives at home. Always keep on checking on young people in Nairobi. Yeah, they're actually facing hard times, economic times. Some of them are undergoing mental issues. So please check on them. Don't just call them you need money, but check on them too.
Yeah.
So, Faith, on the solutions you are trying to put down. One thing that he mentioned is that's what I believe in, is that Africa, we are blessed agriculturally. And in Kenya, you realize that we survive a lot on agriculture and food production, And you realize that not so much young people go into this field. And we have very fertile land for agriculture. So if government will bring about robust plans for agriculture, young people will be very much interested in taking this sector. And when you have enough food, of course, the economy will majorly grow.
Yeah.
So agriculture is a very key sector that I think we can really revamp. I saw when you were complaining about the high cost of living, you were given fertilizers, and I was here in Nairobi wondering where should I get my fertilizer and use it, And fertilizer, mostly the one that was given is for planting, maize plantation. We can revamp those. We can have sugar cane. We can have our coffee. We can have reviving the agricultural sector. Fair prices for the agricultural commodities. That can really highly revamp our agriculture, our economy. And then another thing that I think can really work in this country, that I thought it would work, made in Kenya. That is production, manufacturing and production. I had recently one of the politicians says that I think it's today that they'll ban importation of shoes into the country. Yeah. But then when you ban importation and you don't have structures to boost our companies, what do? So if we advocate for manufacturing, revamp our manufacturing industry, encourage our young mind, the minds that we have to produce. We'll have our own clothes, we'll have our own shoes, we will be exporting rather than, importing. And that's how an economy grows. So when I've graduated with engineering, I don't have space to manufacture or produce something in my own country. I go outside. What happens to your country? Rents don't mind. But if we advocate for young people to manufacture, produce things that are made in Kenya, we may export, and that will build our economy. That will we engage the young people, and things will turn around. But if we speak about banning imports and we are not producing anything, agriculture, we remember there's a time we imported maize. I don't know from where. What is wrong with that?
Actually, in Kenya, typically everything is imported.
And then they were saying we grow maize in Zambia. And actually, my party leader, Farmers Party, was asking now, will we be praying for rain here in Kenya and also in Zambia? That is Irongo Nyakera. Really. But now, what is that? Please, let's boost our farmers here locally, and so that we can grow our economy.
And I also think that the government should mean their intentions, not just to masquerade. Because when you go outside there and you ask everyone will tell you that the agriculture is the backbone of Kenya. But if you look at how many projects has the government implemented in agriculture, there are very few. I knew none. The only one I know is the Enable Youth program, and that is funded by the European Union. So you see, the government knows what they should do, but they're not doing it. Yeah. So I think that is an area that the government should improve on.
Yeah, especially in Kenya. We have very good paperwork, but the implementation is where we draw the line actually.
Apparently, other countries come to Kenya to borrow our policies and they go back implement those policies. The policies work in their areas and ours is like a closed book.
It was on universal health care. Like you find Ghana adopted our policies. Yeah, and now they are way forward in terms of attaining universal health care coverage. Yeah. And here we are still lagging behind, but those things are in our papers. So
Let's solve the talk.
Kenya, we are good at making good policies, but we are very weak at implementing them. So that is the big problem.
But then that falls on us young people, because we have said we are the change that we need.
Yes.
So we need to hold the leaders very accountable. You said you will deliver this. Have you been able to deliver it? Or what milestones have you put in place to deliver this? I remember the story of there's a story in the Bible of the widow and the judge. Yeah? The widow kept going to the judge almost every time. I need this. Finally, her wish was granted, because the judge was like, I can't have this woman coming here all the time. If all the youth around united and we vow to hold the leaders accountable and they should deliver all the promises they have given, we will actually be able to come out of some of these problems we have. Let's not just vent on social media. Walk into the offices. Go to the office of Ombudsman and whatever, report those issues. Hold those leaders accountable. Run for the political seats. Rally other youths to support you, and youth support others. Yes.
And as much as we say that we are the leaders of tomorrow, as most of our leaders tell us, what kind of systems are they leaving behind for us? What kind of institutions are they leaving behind? With the high rate of corruption, I don't think the young people will be able to revive an economy or the country unless our older generation also take a part in cleaning the mess, which has been created over the years. And talking of agriculture, I think the coffee industry has really been affected, and it is one of our main sources of income as a country, because we really do good with coffee and tea. I think the government should take such huge steps on reviving such economies. And my question is, even as we hold such events and talks and podcasts, really, I feel like most of us as young people keep on ranting to people who we don't think they really take action on what we say. And my question is there really light at the end of the tunnel? Or how deep is this tunnel that we are in? Because we keep on hoping for light at the end of this tunnel, for light, but really, there's no light.
Yeah, I think us as young people, we are the ones who are supposed to effect these changes. We may not see the results of the impacts in the near future, but generations to come will enjoy them. So they normally say that one generation will plant the tree, another generation will prune it, and another generation will enjoy the fruits and the shade. So it is upon us to start the campaign and the initiative right away.
So this is there is every young person out there.
Yes.
Light, and it is your time to stand up.
Yes.
And take action.
It is your responsibility to light the candle.
Yeah.
The candle of stopping corruption, stopping injustices. So wake up, guys. I think we are sleeping.
True.
But I'm not sleeping. Me, I ran for office.
So I think there is a place where I went and I've forgotten the exact word, but it meant like we should stop ranting. We should stop waiting for someone to give you an open space to speak. Grab those opportunities. You have something to speak, go speak. You have some idea to implement, look for those opportunities. Stand up, speak up, and take charge, and just do whatever you have to do. So we won't be waiting like now, include young people. Young people should be given this. No, grab those. You have to grab those opportunities.
If you wait to be given the leadership higher, you will stay, my friend. You will stay. You have to go there yourself. Take up the leadership role.
Yes.
I'm loving this discussion. It's really nice. So guys, what is your take home, your parting shot, your call to action for the young people, for governments and policy makers in regards to reviving our economy? What is your parting shot?
Okay, for me, I'd urge our governments, because we've seen that mental health issues among the young people have really escalated over the years. and the rate of suicide cases being reported every day is rising at an alarming rate. I'd urge organizations and the private sectors to partner together with the government, establish psychosocial institutions and spaces that are safe for young people to express their feelings, their emotion, how they feel about the economy, what they feel about our leadership. Let them feel space, and when they air out their views, this will reduce the amount of suicide rates, the mental health issues, young people going to use drugs, and it's just a lot, even back to the family. I'd also urge us as young people to remain resilient. Tough economic times are always there. This is not the first economic hardship. Over the years they have been, but people have remained resilient, and work towards all this that we've spoken about, and yeah, we'll push through.
I would also like to appeal to young people outside there to be creative and to be job creators, not necessarily job seeking, because you may be disappointed in one way or another. Secondly, young people should be innovative. Like, look at innovative ways in which you can help yourself economically. Young people should also have some knowledge, like financial literacy. You find that our young people, also, for example, in the transport industry, such as those who are doing the taxi and the motorbike, motorcycles, those in the local sector, such as those the mechanics, you find that they make a lot of money, but how best do they put their money into use? So young people should be capacity built on good ways of financial management.
For me, one is the government should listen to its people, should listen to the young, to the community, because everyone I've really spoken to right now is complaining about the economy. So the government should listen, and the programs that they put across should actually go hand in hand with what the community really needs at this moment. Another thing is that the youth, as he has said, should be should be creative and be more resilient. Yeah, tough economic times, but we have to, to put food on the table. Another thing that I wanted to urge young people is to support each other. Check on each other's mental health, support each other's growth and businesses, take steps into growth. And one thing that this society has normalized that these days is living above your means. You want to own the best car, you want to own the best house and everything, yet the economy has shrunk currently. So plan well your finances and live within your means currently. Financial literacy is very important. And one thing that I still insist, stand up, own spaces and take charge.
Okay, thank you guys. My parting shot is one, to the government. Please, to the government, the civil society organizations, prioritize economic empowerment programs right now, because that is what is the most challenging thing currently, especially here in Kenya. Number two, to the young people, be bold. Take up leadership roles, hold your governments accountable, and also in everything you do, even at home and everywhere. There is a slogan that I like to live with or on, whatever. These pronouns are not for me. So when they sit, you stand. When they stand, you outstand. And when they outstand, you become the standard. That's it for today. Thank you for tuning in to the Youth Cafe podcast, where young voices unite for sustainable change. Join us as we change our world one episode at a time. This conversation continues on our social handles at the Cafe.